York, and hello, hockey fans all across the internet, and welcome to 315 Hockey Live, brought to you by 315hockey.com and powered by My Little Falls. We have got one fantastic show lined up for you tonight. Before we get started, just want to say real quick, this transcends all sports. By now, everybody knows what happened on Monday night between the Buffalo Bills and the Cincinnati Bengals. And we here at 315 Hockey just want to wish DeMar Hamlin a very speedy recovery after what happened. All our support's with him, and let's hope he recovers quick. So, anyways, now that we got hockey going on all over the place here, and boy, we've got this guy here tonight that is just, you know what? He was one of our favorite guests when we used to do Marty's Illegal Stick, and we had to have him back.
It's because the two of you out-talked each other.
Which is not an easy thing to do with me.
I know.
And especially get you into the mix and forget about it, right?
Yeah.
So before I bring him in, that voice you hear, of course, just so everybody knows,
just
the madman of the switchboard over there.
I am here.
Dave the Save Warner.
That's it. And just for Barry, I did put the Buffalo Sabres jersey on. So,
well, sweatshirt, yeah. I mean,
jersey,
sweatshirt. It's close. It's got the string.
Yeah, it's got the string. Yeah.
Oh boy. So, anyways, like I was saying, back when we used to do Marty's Illegal Stick, we used to have this guy on all the time, and he's just such an awesome guy to have on. And since we covered the Utica Comets here, this guy's got his finger on the pulse of the New Jersey Devils, and he's going to be talking about some of the Comet stuff going on up here with the team. So I'm just going to go ahead and bring him in. He is the host of the Devil's State of Mind podcast on the Hockey Podcast Network. He is the one, he is the only, he is the incomparable Mr. Neil Villapiano. Neil, how are you?
Scott, I'm doing fantastic, man. And this is the first time that I've been on 315 Hockey. Obviously, as you mentioned before, when Marty's Illegal Stick was going around, I came on quite often, and I absolutely enjoy coming on and talking hockey with you guys. And it's great to be back as always. And also, I want to wish everybody out there a happy new year. And also, for those of you that are tuning in, I'm multitasking because I currently have the Devils game on while we're doing this. They're currently in the first period against the Red Wings. They're actually on national TV tonight, so I get a little national attention from the boys, including Utica's favorite Alexander Holtz. But I'm doing great, man.
Absolutely. And we appreciate you taking the time to come on the show during the Devils game, because it's kind of weird because we don't get to see many Devils games up here because of the NHL's stupid blackout rules.
Yeah.
So what do we do when they're on national TV? Oh, we have a show.
Yeah. Why not?
So
did you check the schedule?
That's how we roll, right?
That's true.
But like I said, you, my friend, have got your finger on the pulse of the New Jersey Devils. So we're gonna dive right in here, and we're gonna want to ask you some Utica Comets related questions when it comes to the New Jersey Devils. Absolutely. And the first one that I've got for you is, how impressed have you been with one of Utica's fan favorites when he was here, Fabian Zetterlund, and how long is he going to stay on that top line?
Well, when you look at Fabian Zetterlund, I mean, the beginning of the year, he picked up right where he left off at the end of last season when he came up with the big club. He did a really, really good job, and he made a lot of big-time plays. He had that, game-winning goal in overtime against Calgary on our Western Canada trip, and he really got himself going. Of the last month and change, quite like a lot of the Devils players over this month and this past month of December, he kind of, fell off more or less. But he has been consistently in the lineup, not necessarily in the top six as much of late. He's been more on the bottom six, trying to be more of a physical player with the likes of Miles Wood and Jesper Boquist and Michael McLeod, guys like that. But even when he's not necessarily getting points, he's still able to contribute in many ways to having a lot of success and kind of going from there. So, I'd like to see him get going again. And hopefully he does, and hopefully the rest of the Devils team does. But I really like his speed. I like his physicality a lot. And also, I just like his confidence overall. I feel like he walks in as a very confident player. He feels like he can play in the NHL regularly. He really earned his spot in training camp. And like I said, he has been struggling of late. He's still being able to make some plays and create opportunities on that bottom six.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's on a heck of a trajectory because, I mean, he spent actually 3 seasons in the AHL. And in each season, obviously, he got better along with that fantastic season he had here in Utica. So, he definitely deserves to be up there in New Jersey and doing what he's doing. We're so happy for him. Like I was telling you the other day, we'll be down in February to come see him, and my daughter will be fawning over him by the glass. So that's
of course, and I will make
during pregame warm-ups.
I will make every effort possible to make sure I'm at that game with you guys.
Absolutely. Absolutely, my friend. So when he was up here in Utica, Alexander Holtz was obviously is one of his best friends, fellow
Hmm.
Swede countryman. Alexander Holtz has spent most of the season in New Jersey, but it hasn't been exactly a smooth ride.
Hmm.
He's playing tonight, but he really hasn't been playing that often. So what's the story there? Why isn't Alexander Holtz playing that much in New Jersey? And part two to that, if they're not going to play him in New Jersey, do you think it would be better off just sending him down to Utica for a little while just to get his feet going for himself? Or
Well, I'll answer the first question in terms of what is going on with Holtz. I think the reality is that I think the game is still relatively fast for him. The Devils want to play a very fast, very quick pace type of game, and at times Alexander Holtz ends up being one of the slowest players on the team, and that's not necessarily a knock on him. It's just I think he's taking a lot longer to acclimate himself. Now, I will just mention this to a lot of people that Jack Hughes, as talented as he is, he was not, he didn't immediately jump onto the NHL scene and was tremendous. He had 18 points in his first year. Obviously he was cut short due to the pandemic, but he really, really did struggle. And it took him until last year, prior to injuries, where he really started to put everything together. And now he's really rocking and rolling in this season with the team. As far as Holtz, I mean, look, there was a lot of pressure on him in the offseason to get himself ready to play. He declined playing in the World Juniors because he wanted to get ready to try to make it out of training camp. And, he sort of did. He got the first goal of the season. It kind of looked like, oh, what a great start for this young kid. He's really rocking and rolling. And yeah, he really has struggled a lot to get acclimated to the NHL game. I think he certainly needs to work more on his speed. I think his confidence might be a little bit low, and it doesn't help. It really doesn't help that he constantly is playing on the third or fourth line. He's playing on the fourth
yes,
line right now in this game against Detroit, so he's not going to get a whole lot of opportunities to play. And I do argue that if you want Alexander Holtz to get going, you might as well give him an opportunity to play in the top six, especially with the Devils' offense not being as consistent as it was back in November.
sure,
But clearly, Lindy Ruff definitely leans a lot more towards his veteran players, and obviously veteran players also include guys like Jack Hughes, Nico Hischier, Jesper Bratt, Tomas Tatar, who, again, not the biggest fan of when it comes to playing on the top six right now. Guys like that, and certainly Andre Palat when he does indeed come back. As far as sending him down to Utica, I probably would send him down to Utica when Andre Palat comes back, which will be relatively soon because he has been practicing consistently and in full practice. No, nothing like he can't, face contact or anything like that. I would expect them to probably send Holtz down. And I don't think that's necessarily a knock on Holtz. I think that it might do him better to go back down to Utica, gain that confidence back, because funny enough, when he got sent down the first time this year, he immediately jumped in the lineup and started scoring left and right. So
right.
I think that there's a little bit of lack of confidence, also a little bit of a lack of trust. Again, I would personally like to see Holtz get some more chances on the power play as well as just, top 6 minutes, but it just doesn't seem like that's going to happen, at least for right now. But I think right now for Holtz, it might be better for him to play down in Utica just to get more top 6 minutes, at least for this season. And I think if they do that, I think it might work for him. But it obviously has been disappointing for Holtz that he hasn't been able to really get going since the season started. He's been one of the guys that really has struggled to get going. And hopefully, as the season progresses, and if he gets to go to Utica or starts to find himself in the NHL, that he can really start to have the success that we all are counting on him to have long term.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, you don't draft Alexander Holtz number 7 overall to play the fourth line. You
No,
just don't. And
right.
I'm not sitting here. I'm not trying to bag on management or anything like that. But like I said,
But you
if you're
can.
gonna,
But you
but
totally
you got
can.
it. I know, but the thing is, though, if you want this kid to reach his full potential, listen, he's a shooter, he's a sniper. Put him
I
in the
agree.
opportunities to actually do that, right? If you're
Mm-hmm.
expecting Alexander Holtz to be a shutdown checking winger, forget it. It's not going to happen. And of course, fans up here in
And I agree.
Utica, of course, want to see him back here. But
Right.
but yeah, I
No,
totally agree with you
it's
there.
and selfishly, again, talking about it from the Devils' perspective, we want Holtz to really get going and never have to go back down to Utica. But I think the reality is that he's just not getting a fair shake when it comes to opportunities. Again, like I mentioned before, he's on the second power play unit, and he is a shooter. You could tell. You could tell when he's on the power play. He's standing in that left on that left side, waiting for the 1T. That goal he scored against Nashville way back in late November, early December, that was a goal where it was a one-time pass and he scored. And that is the ability that Alexander Holtz has and what he can bring to the table on a night-to-night basis. He just has to get more opportunities. I don't know if that's going to come this season with the Devils or if he has to go back down to Utica and play the rest of the year. But I'm sure the going up and down and playing very few minutes every night, I'm sure is frustrating for a young player like Holtz, who was drafted so high and is expected. A lot of people said when he got drafted, he had the best shot of any player in the draft.
Sure.
And that was kind of the expectation. So, again, this is his first full season in the NHL. So I know he had a cup of coffee here or there with the team last year, but this year legitimately is his first year. And I think for him, in a good way, for him to struggle this much is kind of an eye-opener for him so that when the offseason comes, he could work on things that he was struggling with throughout the year. He's much more wiser about how the NHL game is played and can kind of go from there. And I don't think the Devils are in a position where they're trying to pressure this kid to really get going. I think they want to be patient with him. I think they want him to continue to learn and grow and kind of go from there. So that's kind of the situation that it's in. And it is frustrating because I want to see Holtz get, really start to score and really start to be that impact player. But again, combination of lack of confidence, which I think can dovetail into just the fact that he's not getting as many minutes, playing on the fourth line, this, that, and the other thing. All is not a recipe for success. So, we'll see how things progress as the year goes along and as the season goes along. And obviously, tougher decisions are going to have to be made with guys like Bastian, Palat, guys like that coming back into the lineup in the near future. And if the Devils decide to make any move at the deadline as well, which I know that Holtz, for reasons that I'm not entirely sure of, have been the subject of trade rumors as well because of the fact of the Devils being involved in big-name players. But I will say this, honestly and truly, that the Devils, especially with Tom Fitzgerald at the helm, they don't swing for the fences on a big-name player via trade. They've done it so far in free agency. They got Dougie Hamilton. They tried to get Johnny Gaudreau. So they're not afraid to splash the cash when it comes to big-time free agents. As far as making a trade and giving up assets, big-time assets, like to get a guy like a Timo Meier or Patrick Kane or, guys like that, I just can't really see it. So as far as the trade rumors are concerned, I think they're just that. They're just rumors. And I think the Devils are going to be patient with Holtz and allow him to continue to try to get himself going over time, both with the Devils and also potentially with Utica down the road.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So let's talk goaltending for a second, because New Jersey all of a sudden is going to have an overflow of goaltenders here. Mackenzie Blackwood is back. Jonathan Bernier, from what I've read, is working his way back. He could be back before the end of the season, maybe.
Well, the information that I have, and I'll tell you this really quickly, Scott, the information that I have is that when Jonathan Bernier spoke to the media a couple of weeks ago, he said he really had no idea when he would be able to come back. So the reality with that is that it feels much more likely that this might be it for him. I mean, his contract comes off the books anyway at the end of the season because the Devils signed him to a 2-year deal. So he's not going to be here. So unfortunately, he's going to be just another in the relatively long line of goalies that just didn't work out in New Jersey, whether it's injury or things like that. So as far as Jonathan Bernier is concerned, I would not expect him to be back playing anytime soon, probably not this entire season.
Right. It's but especially with a hip injury like that, and he's had it multiple times. But it brings up an interesting point in the fact that Akira Schmid was up there for quite a while, and he actually played pretty well, all things considered. And now he's he's back in Utica. So with Mackenzie Blackwood becoming an RFA at the end of the season, it kind of muddies the waters, because what do you do now? How do you proceed forward? Because they signed Vanacek to a 3-year deal.
3-year deal.
Mistaken, correct?
Because when the Devils acquired him from Washington, he was a restricted free agent. So they immediately had to sign him to a 3-year deal. So he's on a 3-year deal. This is the year 1 of 3.
So I guess what my question is, what do you think happens towards the end of the season then? Do we say goodbye to Blackwood and Schmid goes up to back up Vanacek next year, or because a decision is going to have to be made?
So this is a very controversial topic if you're in Devils world, especially on social media. This is a very, very controversial topic because there are people who are what I would call Blackwood apologists, kind of like what I would say about Daniel Jones for years, where there were a lot of Daniel Jones apologists. People would defend regardless of how good or bad the play was. And that's still the situation with Blackwood. The reality is simply this. Blackwood's time in New Jersey, whether he gets traded or not, is going to come to an end after this season. I think the Devils understand that ship has sailed. They have tried very hard to get him to get back to a form that he was at not too long ago. And due to injuries and just inconsistent play and poor decision-making. I mean, if you go back to the game against Carolina on New Year's Day, the goal that made it 2-1, the Devils are on the power play. And yes, Jack Hughes makes a horrible turnover in the neutral zone. But Blackwood comes up to try to sweep the puck away. He whips at the puck, and then it's easily tapped in by Sebastian Aho in an empty net. And that's kind of the problem with Blackwood, is that he's very Jekyll and Hyde. 1 minute he can make an incredible save and keep you in it. The next minute he's giving up 2 or 3 soft goals. And then you can tell the Devils' confidence with him is just not there. When Vanecek's in net, the team plays better. They believe in themselves. And the same thing can be said about Akira Schmid. When he's in net, this team feels comfortable. And that is really the way that you see it with Akira Schmid. And I've been saying that Schmid was going to be something really good for the last 2 or 3 years. When I saw him play for, I forgot his one junior team that he played for. I think it was last year or a year and a half ago. He was playing for
he was in the Western Hockey League, wasn't it?
I think he was in USHL.
Yes,
you're right. Yes. He was USHL goalie of the year last year or a year and a half ago, something like that. And he really, really is the prototypical goalie that you want long term. He's a tall, big type of guy. He's not a guy that's going to make, unbelievable, incredible saves, although he made that one against Dallas. But he's a very sturdy goaltender. And you see it. And people in Utica can agree with me on this. He's a very sturdy goaltender. And even the Utica players feel confident when he's in net. He's developed very well. And Nico Dawes, he's going to take a little bit more time to develop, but he's also getting it. But he's played the whole year in Utica. So, and I think that's actually good because I think he's, again, one of our long-term solutions in net.
Absolutely.
And I think that they wanted Schmid up here and not Dawes because they wanted to see what they had more in Schmid, because he only played 2 or 3 games last year, and it was just in an abysmal season overall. So it wasn't like, he was, anything was going right. But Akira Schmid, when he has been asked to come into games, whether to start or as just basically a, in a coming into after the player gets hurt, like Vanecek did when we played Ottawa, he came in and really stole the show. I think overall he has been a really big bright spot. Well, we've had a lot of bright spots, but definitely in the goaltending situation, there's been a lot of really good bright spots. And I think the time has come to move on from Blackwood. I think it's now more than ever because there just isn't trust with him. And Schmid came in and played so well. He, I think, in my opinion, has earned the right to be up here. And the Devils are not going to carry 3 goaltenders. They're just not going to do that.
That's right, yeah.
So, and unfortunately, Mackenzie Blackwood is making a decent amount of money. So I don't know if the Devils would feel necessarily comfortable just buying out his contract and that's the end of it. I don't know if there's any team out there that would be interested in acquiring him at the deadline or before that. Without getting, honestly, they'd have to sign him to a contract afterwards. I think that's the reality.
Right.
Of it, is that it's not like, he's not going to be a rental for anybody either. I could see a team like Vancouver calling. I could see a team like Ottawa calling. I could see several other teams, San Jose, Chicago. I could see teams, Edmonton as well. I could see them taking flight. And I mean, if we trade him away into the Western Conference, nobody's gonna complain about that. So at the end of the day, with Akira Schmid, he's kind of what I would call in a triple A or a quadruple A situation, where what I mean by that is simply that he's, in my opinion, too good to play in the AHL. And he's also very good to play in the NHL, but he's in just a situation where he can't get up because the Devils are trying so hard with Blackwood. But I think when push comes to shove, I think the organization is going to make that decision that it's better that Akira Schmid gets that role. So I would expect definitely next year that Akira Schmid is one of the 2 goaltenders that we have in net, because I think we finally have found a tandem that we can work with for multiple years.
Right. Yeah. And I think you hit the nail right on the head when you said Schmid deserves to be up there, because I mean, his play certainly proved that. There's no doubt about it. But let's shift gears and talk about another position that the Devils are loaded at, and that's defense. So the rumor mill going around is that Simon Nemec, now that he's back from the World Juniors, is going to be going up to New Jersey for a 9-game look. So I don't know if that's the talk down there or not.
Well, first of all, just so that we're all politically correct, it's actually pronounced Simone Nemec. Just so
Is
that
it?
people
Okay,
know.
well, we've been pronouncing it
Yeah,
wrong the whole time.
it's everybody's been pronouncing it wrong. It just it really
We
is kind
did
of
it intentionally.
all right. Fair enough. Fair enough. As far
Well,
as
Dave did.
No, no.
Don't look at me. Dave did that, not me.
okay,
Definitely not
As
politically correct.
well, as far as that is, I mean, you look at the way he played in the World Juniors just this past week and change, and he looks like a man among boys. I mean, he is just unbelievable. He was the captain of Slovakia. The guys rallying around him, and even after losing in the semifinal game, you know he was still in full uniform and willing to talk to the media both in English and in Slovak,
Yes.
which I think was very, very impressive to say the least. And I really, really was amazed by that. And you could tell that this kid's smooth skater, confident shooter, tremendous defensively, physical as well. I could see that he's actually gained a little bit of weight and muscle since he's been in Utica, which is really, really good to see. As far as him getting a look in New Jersey this season, honestly and truly, I just can't see it. And it's not because I don't think he's deserved that opportunity. I just think that because of the fact that, yeah, we're right now a little bit depleted injury wise. We're just in a situation where, some guy may have to come out of the lineup that's actually been doing relatively well. Like, think about it this way. You have Jonas Siegenthaler and Dougie Hamilton, your top pairing defensive pair. Then you have Ryan Graves and Damon Severson. So you have your top four already there. Then you have this four-way, if you want to include Nemec, and actually if you want to include Luke Hughes as well, that's five. You have five defensemen vying for two spots on the bottom six, and actually six because you have to also include John Marino. You have John Marino, Kevin Ball, Nikita Ahutuk. I think I said John Marino. I'm pretty sure I said
Yes.
John Marino, but not. And then you have Luke Hughes and Simone Nemec. You have this logjam, which is good because then you have things that you can move around and try to, motor with. But like long term, Nemec and Luke Hughes are going to be a pairing because they're just that fantastic and they know each other well and everything like that. I think more likely Luke Hughes is going to get a look after his season is done in Michigan. And again, this is no knock on Simone Nemec. This is just the fact that Luke Hughes, at least in the organizational hierarchy, he's ranked just a bit, just like one spot below, above
Right.
Nemec. I think that the Devils know that Nemec is that talented. I think they want him to finish a full season in, North American hockey. He's done relatively well in Utica as far as I've been able to see and what I've been able to be told. And I think that he's adjusting to the North American ice very, very well. And you saw it again, like I said, you saw it in the World Juniors. So I think overall, really like what he see. I would like to see him get an opportunity up here, but we just may not have room unless we get a bunch of injuries, which knock on wood, that really doesn't happen.
The Devils we're talking about here. So,
this is the Devils we're talking about. So I think, but overall, really love the kid. I think the kid is special. I think this is a guy that could potentially win a Norris Trophy if he continues to play the way he's playing. I think he has the opportunity to be a top pairing defenseman for years to come, and the Devils are certainly lucky, and Utica as well, to have a player like that in their organization.
Yeah, I mean, because that's, and I'll tell you what, from the start of the season up to now, you can see his confidence growing every game.
Yeah.
From the Utica perspective, you just can.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Luke Hughes is curious to me because obviously he's going to turn pro once Michigan season's over. Now,
Absolutely.
Are the Devils going to bring him right to New Jersey and say, we're burning that first year of that ELC? Let's go right ahead with this. Or maybe he ends up in Utica for a little while. We don't know just yet. That's interesting. But I will tell you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I heard from somebody who spoke to the head coach of the University of Michigan that they feel 99.9% confident that Luke Hughes is going to, like, the second the season is over with the Michigan, wherever that ends, he's going to get signed to his entry-level contract, which he still hasn't signed yet, but that's not, there's nothing to worry about with that. And he's going to jump right into the NHL. It might be a Cale Makar situation where he jumps right in. Maybe the Devils are in the playoffs at that point. He just jumps into the lineup and tries to make an impact right away. The Devils may decide that, we'll send him to Utica and we'll let him play down there, which would be great as well, because if Utica can get themselves going, which they seem to have, although last night was kind of a tough loss in overtime.
Yeah.
Um,
Especially
I
by
saw the
2 in the
highlights of that
third.
one. But we saw
Yeah.
Mason Geertsen goal, which is always wonderful. Um, anyway, when you look at Luke Hughes' situation, he's more of a guy that I think will just jump right into the NHL rather than spend time in Utica. But I could be totally wrong. But this is just the information that I've been told, that I think most likely he will sign his entry-level deal and immediately play a couple of games, depending on where the season is at, with the New Jersey Devils, because he's just that good. And again, you're seeing it like right now tonight. USA's playing Canada in the semifinals of World Juniors, and he's all over the ice playing as both a defenseman and even having forward abilities as well. He's bigger than both Jack Hughes and Quinn Hughes, and he's better offensively than Quinn Hughes is. His defensive game needs work, but I think overall, he's done a hell of a job. And he's going to be definitely in an interesting spot as well. So I think that's something to keep their eye on, as Barry confirms that it is now tied at 3.
Yes,
I know it was
3-3.
2-2, and then I think it was 3. So that game's already going crazy. And for those of you that care, the Devils and Red Wings are tied, no score after one period of play. But anyway, as far as Luke Hughes is concerned, very interesting situation with him as well. Both of those guys, Hughes and the Mets, going to be fascinating to watch over the next couple of months to see where they end up and how everything goes. I think if Nemec comes up, obviously one of Ball or Nikita probably goes back down, which I like Ball and Nikita for their physicality, although Ball has really made a lot of bad mistakes defensively in the last couple of games. I don't know if that's just a confidence reason or whatever. Nikita, he just doesn't get to play very often, so it's kind of hard for me to say, what does he bring? But I think that one punch knockout that he had, I think earned him a shot to come up to the big club a couple games ago. But I think if they wanted to test run one of Nemec or Luke Hughes, most likely, at least in the now Nemec, they probably would have to send one of those guys down.
And you know who's been forgotten in all this is Riley Walsh. I mean, he's quietly putting together a very good season again down here in Utica. Yeah. And eventually they're going to have to bring him up because he's going to run out of his ELC. So that's another. I mean, the Devils are looking at having. Yeah, I mean that's an unfortunate reality, right? But
it is.
But boy, what an exciting time for the defense of the Devils. So man, that young talent coming through.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I like Tice Thompson was actually having a pretty solid season down in Utica before he got called up. Personally, though, I would have preferred to see Graham Clark because I know he's been on an absolute tear of late. I don't know. I don't know what the reason is. I know Graham Clark's kind of undersized, and I get that. But it can't hurt to give him a look. It really can. But again, the Devils now have created a logjam in multiple positions long term, which is a good thing because that gives us the opportunity to then figure out if we need to go after a specific player, then we might have to make a move to move a couple of guys and things like that. And remember, we have 6 of the 7 draft picks for next season as well. So we have so many options to go left and right with this. But yeah, I mean, guys like Riley Walsh, Graham Clark, it's tough. It's tough. Look at Andreas Johnson. I mean, he's gotten called up twice and hasn't played a single game since he came up to the team. And I think he's a guy that probably will get moved or will be on the move somewhere else at some point. But yeah, clearly the Devils have a lot of good decisions ahead of them that they have to make in the not so near future.
Yeah, absolutely. Boy, what just incredible flexibility they have now throughout the organization, really. So I see the intermission's almost over, so I'll let you get going, but just one quick last question before I let you go. Is there any other Utica Comets you want to see get a look up in New Jersey?
Oh, that's tough. Well, I mean, I kind of mentioned the guys that I wanted to see, but I would actually, for a game or two, which, I mean, it's not necessary that he comes up, but I would like to see what Nico Dawes would be like with this team. Because last year he was put in a no-win situation with a really depleted team and things like that. I'd actually be curious to see with a much more solid defense and a little bit better consistent offense, how he would fit in overall. How would he play? I think he would have a success just like a Kira Schmidt. I would like to see that because I do think that Nico Dawes as well is a guy that could really can really do some damage, in a positive way. So that would be a guy I would like to see. But yeah, Dawes, Graham Clark, obviously Simone Nemec. Those are some guys. But again, we got a log jam, so it's kind of a tough deal, but it's also a good tough deal to be in, as I mentioned before.
It is, and it makes it so hard to fit those guys in when the team's winning. That's the thing too. So good problems to have all the way around. Well, my friend, like I said, that intermission's almost over, so I'm going to let you get back to your game. But before you go, let us know where we can find you on social media, and let us know where you can find the podcast.
Well, first and foremost, as always, guys, thank you so much for having me on. This is fantastic. I love the setup. 315 Hockey. That's very, very, very awesome. Very happy for you guys. And if you want to check out the Devil State of Mind podcast, new episodes out every Monday and Thursday wherever you get your podcast. We are now a top 100 podcast for hockey in North America. So thank you all so much. So I'm
awesome.
My goal is to jump spitting chiclets in my lifetime. So we are slowly getting there. I don't have as great of a personality as Paul Bissonnette, but I could certainly give it my all. That's for sure. But yeah, check it out.
Give business.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And so check it out wherever you listen to podcasts. People have asked me this, by the way, about coming up for a game for Utica. I'm definitely, this season, I'm really going to try to. Hopefully the next, month or two, really try to get up to a game and just experience it, see the young kids, and go from there. So I promise you.
Yeah, I'll be able to get you downstairs before the game, too.
Well, I appreciate that, and I would definitely take you up.
Yeah, but he didn't tell you, though. He's putting you to work because you're going to be skating on the ice crew with him.
Yeah,
that's
the work.
Shoot, I'll do that. I'll do that. That's not a big problem for me. But yeah, no, and you can follow the podcast on Twitter at Devil State, Instagram at Devil State of Mind, and if for some reason you have a Facebook, make sure to also give us a like on Facebook as well. And join me on this incredible journey. I got a lot of big things coming up in the year 2023. Maybe potentially in the not too long from now, maybe potentially some merch for the podcast might come out. So stay tuned for that as well. Nice. And still waiting for my Kevin Ball shirt there, Scott.
I promise you this time I'm gonna see you next month. I'll see you next month.
Okay,
I will
remind. I'll give you a reminder.
Message me every day if you have to. It's
Got
fine.
you. Absolutely. All right. But that's it, man. And again, guys, thank you so much for having me on. And I always enjoy coming on here. And Scott, boys, I'm definitely going to get you guys on the Devil State of Mind podcast because you have definitely been requested a handful of times. And because I also cover the Utica Comets on the podcast now, we got to start talking some Comets hockey. Haven't done as much. Probably in the next episode, I'll do a quick recap and kind of where the team is at the moment. And go from there. But thank you guys so much for having me on tonight. This was great.
Absolutely. I'd be glad to come on anytime, my friend. So, and thank you for taking the time away from the Devils game. Enjoy, and we will talk soon.
Thank you guys so much, and let's go Devils.
Absolutely. Thanks, Neil. Appreciate it. All right. That was Neil Villapiano from the Devil State of Mind podcast. Awesome, guys. I always love it when he comes on our show. It's so much fun.
So do I.
It really is.
Great guy.
It really is. So, Jared, why don't we do this? We'll do a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to break down the Central New York hockey schedule, and we got a lot of big games coming up, my friend.
Yes, we do.
Lots of big games coming. So, we'll put in Dave the Saves commercial here real quick, and we'll be right back.
Visit My Little Falls and stay connected with the latest news, information, and events in the city and the area. Our mission is to generate interest in the community and connect residents in a more meaningful way by facilitating deeper conversations about how these stories will shape the future of the Mohawk Valley. Join thousands of weekly visitors who stay up to date with feature stories, interviews, videos, our event calendar, and print publication, the Mohawk Valley Express. It's about timely local news for the community, keeping citizens informed about important issues, telling about the people who live and work here, and giving locally owned businesses the opportunity to reach a very targeted audience of locals and tourists alike. It's a whole new form of media-rich content developed specifically for today's mobile lifestyle and listeners. You can download our iOS app in the iTunes Store, listen to our country music streaming radio station, or sign up for a weekly newsletter. Stop by today at mylittlefalls.com. You'll be glad you did.
All right, and we're back with segment 2 of 315 Hockey Live. We had Chris Sugar from the D3 Hockey News on recently here. And guys, he's got his own show now on YouTube.
Nice.
He does. It's called The Full 60. It's really cool. His premiere
The
episode
full
was
60?
The Full 60.
Okay.
Yeah, it's awesome. The premiere episode came out today. Basically, what they do is they go around to like different Division III hockey games, and they do like a live rundown of the, and then they put it all together into a podcast. It's really cool.
Huh, take a look at that.
Wow.
Yeah, you
that's
definitely
cool.
you can. Yeah, you can actually subscribe to it on D3 Hockey, the channel on YouTube. So.
Okay.
And you're definitely going to want to follow those guys on Twitter because they got their broadcaster bracket challenge coming up. Remember he was talking
Oh,
about
yeah,
that?
yeah.
Yeah, he says that's going to be coming out like the end of this week or next week. I think it's the end of next week. He said
That's a tough bracket right now. Looking at it, that's a tough bracket.
It is. But we're gonna have to, our former one of our former guests, Ray Biggs is gonna be in that. So Dave was just dying to do that, right?
Yeah.
He was.
Sorry.
But, now that Dave's done having his fun and games here, Chris also sent these stickers. Oh,
Yeah, you gotta
there.
get little
D3,
stickers.
yeah. So it's pretty cool. We did the great sticker exchange here. I don't know if I do that.
D3, yeah.
Yeah, I like that. So
Yeah.
it was pretty cool. But yeah, like I said, if you get a chance, check that podcast out because it is awesome. So, all right. Anyways, Jeremy, we have got a lot to talk about here. We have got a huge upcoming schedule. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to read off the schedule. It's going to take me a minute or two, but then when I'm done, we'll discuss some of the matchups. Okay.
All right.
So upcoming for the Utica Comets this weekend, they got 3 games. They're home Friday night against Hartford. They're at Springfield Saturday night, and then they're at Providence Sunday afternoon. They got a 3-3, and their counterparts right up the road, the Syracuse Crunch, same thing. They're home on Friday night against Belleville. They're home on Saturday night against Rochester, and then Sunday afternoon they're down in Hershey. So those 3-3s are tough. But
yeah, especially
anyways,
Sunday afternoon game.
Yeah, right after a Saturday night game. Oof, and that
Yeah.
bus trip on top of it too. That's the worst. But the Colgate Raiders men's hockey team, they're on the road this weekend. They're at RPI on Friday night, and they're at Union on Saturday afternoon. And by the way, Carter Guylander was named the ECAC goaltender of the week after last weekend's series against Maine.
Yeah.
So
Well deserved.
let's see. Yeah, he was awesome last weekend. So let's see. Number 6 Colgate women's hockey team. They are home Friday night against RPI. They're home on Saturday afternoon against Union. So they're just kind of doing the flip flop there.
Mhm.
And then Tuesday night they're at Syracuse Orange. So that'll be a good one right there. This weekend, that's the only game that the Syracuse Orange are playing is Tuesday night against Colgate. The Morrisville men, Friday night, they are home against Post. Saturday night, they are home against Stonehill. And then Tuesday afternoon, they play Albertus Magnus, which I just think is a really cool name to say.
Albertus Magnus.
I feel like I'm a gladiator.
Maximus Decimus Meridius.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
How can I watch the USA Canada game? Well, I know on
it's on NHL Network and-
IHF.com.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, NHL Network. It's on. Yeah.
NHL
Absolutely.
Network or if you have it, TSN.
Yes. And I got the live stream or live stats pulled up here on IIHF.com. That's a good question though. Still 3-2. Must be that
3-2.
goal got called back.
Oh, 3-2?
Yeah.
I thought it was still 3-3.
No, must be that goal got called back. So
How do you call a goal back?
replay.
Jeez.
You should know that. All your
Oh, well,
technology
that's
over
true.
there.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I hate replay.
Yeah.
Go
Well,
with-
yeah,
go
because
with the
it's
mistakes.
more work for you. That's why.
True.
Oh boy. Continuing right along, the Morrisville women, Friday afternoon, they are home against Cortland. Saturday afternoon, they are home against Cortland once again. The Hamilton College Continentals men's team, Friday night, they are at Colby. Saturday afternoon, they're at Bowdoin. The number 13 ranked Hamilton College women, they are home Friday night against number 6 Colby, and Saturday afternoon against number 6 Colby. And Tuesday night, they're home against Nazareth. That's going to be a heck of a series between Hamilton College and Colby. Let's see, the number 8 ranked Oswego State men's team, they are, well, there's a tournament they're playing in up in Plattsburgh. It's the Comfort Inn Complex Winter Classic. So anyways, Friday afternoon, they are playing Potsdam, and then Saturday afternoon, they are playing the host Plattsburgh Cardinals. The number 15, Oswego women, Friday night, they are home against Potsdam. Saturday night, they are home against Canton. And then Tuesday night, they are coming to the Adirondack Bank Center to play the Utica Pioneers, who are ranked 14th. I'll get to them in just a second. But first, the number 2 ranked Utica men's hockey team. Friday night, they are on the road at Manhattanville. And then Saturday afternoon, they are still at Manhattanville. And the number 14th ranked Utica women's hockey team Friday night, they are at Worcester State. It's another thing I like to say, Worcester State. It sounds cool. And then they play Tuesday night against Oswego. So now that I've had my fun pronouncing college names.
You can spell Massachusetts next.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Well, no, I can't. Actually, could you imagine a town named Massachusetts, Mississippi?
Oh my God.
No.
Wow.
Oh boy. So, anyways, Jared, what do you want to talk about first here? I know we met up at the Colgate game last week, and
Yeah.
I believe that was the first Colgate game you saw, right?
Well, yeah, in a very long time.
Right.
I saw a Colgate game a long time in their old barn, but that new one is it's spectacular. I mean, I was up a few years ago when my son had a little, wasn't really a clinic, but the university invited his Mite team out. So they skated with, I believe it was the girls team at the time. But it was a great experience for the boys, and they had fun. But I mean, just watching, having the D1 experience basically in our backyard, and it's not an easy drive. It's not that hard as long as the weather cooperates, obviously. But good hockey, fun hockey, and it's a different atmosphere.
Oh, it is. It is, and you're right. That class of 1965 arena is gorgeous, and I've been saying it for a long time. That really is one of the hidden hockey gems in this area, because
it is.
It's funny just how people don't realize that it's right there, like you said, in the backyard.
There. Yeah, it's right there.
It's great hockey. I mean, you can go to the ColgateAthletics.com to get their schedules, and real cheap ticket prices if you got to pay it all.
Oh yeah,
it's awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely get a chance to go check them out. And
you can, like I said, when you actually do see when you watch the game, you're on top.
Yes.
Of the action. You're right there. Like there's no.
Yes.
It's not built like the odd where it is like a bigger arena, obviously the auditorium, but the 1965 rink you're on top of the action. You can either sit, even if you stand, you're still close right up, and you're not that far away. You can hear everything and see everything, and it's right then and there. So it's a great experience.
Yeah. I mean, there is no such thing as a nosebleed seat there.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Not a chance. Okay, let's see. Moving right along here. What do we want to talk about next here? Let's see. I see Oswego, the men, they almost beat Adrian in the finals of their tournament last weekend. It was close. I believe the game was 3-2, right?
3-2. Yeah. There was a few of us that were obviously rooting for Oswego to pull that out, but they didn't. So
yeah, well, they gave it a heck of a fight though. So I mean,
they did.
Absolutely. And speaking of Oswego, like I said, the women's team is coming to Utica Tuesday night to play the Utica women. That's going to be a good game, because the Utica women are ranked 14th. The Oswego women are ranked 15th. And, I'll tell you, this is the Utica women, I think, are vastly underrated for the talent that they have on that team.
Absolutely.
And this is a real chance for them to, obviously they have to win, but I mean, now that you're playing a ranked opponent, this is a real good chance for them to get on the radar.
Absolutely. And I think it'll be a good opportunity to see, how far they can go this season. Obviously this is going to be a big game for both teams. Obviously we're rooting for the hometown UC women. So we'll see if they can get the win there. Yeah,
absolutely. It's going to be an entertaining game for sure.
Oh yeah.
I'm definitely going to that one. So,
and I believe that'll be played in the Nexus Center, won't it?
No, that's actually at the Odd. According to the schedule,
at the Odd?
It's at the Odd. So
yeah,
I mean, if that changes, maybe, I don't know, but
right.
But yeah, because you got to pay attention, because they play half their games at the Nexus and then half their games at the. So I mean, it's not like it's that far of a walk if you go to the wrong building. But,
right. It would be nice to know going into it.
Yeah,
but it's your expectation whether you want the bright, shiny new or the old.
Well, yeah, I guess. I mean, I guess, but
you'd be like, "Oh crap, got to go over there."
No, not necessarily. Yeah. I mean, that's I mean, let's face it. The Nexus Center is the shiny new toy, right?
It is. That's why I said that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And speaking of we just mentioned with the Hamilton College, they got a tough matchup this weekend too. Number 6 Colby coming to town, but they just did beat Elmira last weekend, 10th ranked Elmira. So if they come away with a split there, we're talking about some major showdowns coming up here in Central New York, because the Pioneers are playing the Continentals. I think it's the 24th. So a lot of big time women's hockey coming up.
Are they? Oh yeah. That could be a big.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
Oh, that could be a really big turn of events that could happen.
Oh,
Definitely.
absolutely. And don't forget, the Colgate women, they're going to be hosting Quinnipiac. I think it's
Right.
the 13th, and Quinnipiac's up to 4-2, and Mila Lapata is coming to town. She
Right.
was on the show before, so that's going to be another great game to go to. So, I'm telling you, man, on the women's end of things, we got some great hockey coming in this month.
Absolutely.
We really do. Absolutely, for sure. Switching things over for the men, though. Well, tell us, the Utica guys, they chomping at the bit to get this season going here, or what?
Yeah, they are. They can't wait to get back at it. Obviously, they've been practicing, they've been in town, they've been working hard. Keeping everything as normal as they can with the break. The break, they don't like to do too much, but they stick with it, and they'll get right back to work this weekend against Manhattanville. And I mean, it's Utica, Manhattanville. What more can be said about that? Those two teams, teams that have some history. Obviously, we're going there, so it's a little different than them coming here. But I mean, hopefully we'll come out with a W.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and of course, every team's got to deal with that, coming off the break. I believe that's Manhattanville's coming off their break too. I don't think they played yet.
Yeah.
So,
this will be their first weekend back.
Right.
So
I'm talking about their first weekend back too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I mean, it's. I wish it was home, but it's not, because I always enjoy seeing Manhattanville come back. Everybody can't stand them. I think that's why I wanted them to come back. But hey, it is what it is.
Well, Newman's coming the following weekend, right?
Newman's, yes, yeah. That is their home. So. They're not the weekend of home opener. Yeah, back from break. So that'll be another test.
Yeah,
Newman's another good team coming in, and they're starting to become, like a thorn in our side, kind of sort of say, like Manhattanville.
Right, exactly. And I mean, looking at the schedule here, it's all UCHC from here on out too. So
yeah.
So I mean, that's the key right there. You got to win those conference games. They're in a pretty good spot right now, but still.
Yeah, that's any given night. I mean, it's obviously we have a very confident group. We don't I don't foresee anything going too haywire. But again, puck luck is a theme with hockey, so you never really know.
Exactly.
I mean, I think we have a very solid team coming in for the rest of the way through, but you never know. Any given night could be anything. So.
Right, and that's the whole point right there. But I mean, and looking at the rest of this here, you got to be pretty excited for Friday night, aren't you?
This
Hartford
Friday night?
Wolfpacker coming to the Hartford Wolfpacker coming to town. It's your Rangers boys are there.
Yeah. I might have to make arrangements to do the other side of the ice this weekend. So maybe I'll stop and talk to a few of them. I don't know, but yeah, we'll see.
Better hit that mute button, Dave.
Yeah.
We'll just get the guy in trouble here.
He's in trouble.
Yeah, I might even actually wear a Ranger hat that night. So who knows?
Oh wow, boy, you're really tempting fate, aren't you?
Yeah, we'll see.
What's gonna happen. That's gonna be the night you slip on the ice. You know that, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'll probably end up falling or have something thrown at me or something, but it's all good things.
Oh, that's great. That is awesome. Well, hey, here's an update. The Devils have scored. It's 1-0. Dougie Hamilton got the goal on the power play. So that's 1-0. So I'm sure Neil is very happy right now.
Neil's happy right now.
I kind of wish he was still on so we could see his reaction.
Oh, no.
Because if you ever watch,
we don't need to see that. Yeah.
He does these what they're called watch-alongs on YouTube, right? It's on the Hockey Podcast Network's YouTube channel.
Right.
And what it is, so they can't show the actual game on the screen, and they can't have the commentary. So what he does, he watches the game, and it's on mute, but he's doing like the commentary, and he's interacting with everybody that's watching along.
Oh, that's nice.
It is cool. It's really cool because nothing stops you from having it on the back, at your house, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So instead of listening to them, you're listening to Neil, which is so cool. So, and believe me, yes, he does get very animated when the Devils score.
I was going to say, that's got to be interesting.
It is. It's
Like
awesome.
like that
That'll be a good one.
clip I sent you, right? The
Yeah.
announcer.
Yeah. Exactly.
Uh,
Well, anything else, Jared? What do you got? Anything else you want to chat about here? Or?
No, I mean, next week's show should be pretty good.
Yeah.
So
We'll save the announcement. We'll save it for now.
Yeah. But other than that, yeah, there's just getting back at it, watching hockey again. I mean, obviously the big game right now between USA and Canada.
Yeah, it's 4-2 now.
Starting back up. So I was talking to a few of the boys earlier, and that I do not love Tom Wilson. That that did he retire? I mean,
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I was talking to a few of the boys about the Canadian game tonight, and they, we had to stay hot. We had to get a couple goals ahead, which we did. But obviously, Canada's firepowers, they're just they're incredible.
Yeah,
they're incredible to watch. They're just incredible.
Yeah, I mean, Connor Bedard got the first goal, but he hasn't really. He got the assist on the fourth goal, but other than that, but still, I mean, it's the World Juniors. What are you going to do, man?
Right.
Canada seems to like just field an all-star team every year. I mean, it's
yeah.
Their fourth line would be the first line of most other teams, So
they were talking. A few of the guys were talking about Bedard's size. He's only 5'9". And I mean, this style for him going into the NHL, could it hurt him? And I listening to everybody talk, I was agreeing with him because the game's changed so much. I mean, now it's all skill. It's like, I mean, you're not going out there to ground and pound people anymore, really. I mean, sure, it happens, but the game is fast and skillful. And I mean, you look at Connor flying around the ice. He's a specimen to watch.
Well, I mean, we were just talking about the Devils. Look at Jack Hughes. Jack Hughes isn't a big guy at all, but I mean, look what he's doing. Trevor Zegras is another one I think about. I mean, just how much. And speaking of how much the game's changed, this might not be a very popular opinion, but could you imagine if you tried to do that Michigan goal 20 years ago? Somebody would have taken his head
off.
And
then Scotty Stevens would have put him in the fourth row.
Exactly. So
I mean, it would have been. He would have never played.
And again. I'm not saying that it's changed for the worse. I'm just saying that it's changed because there's no way he gets away with that 20 years ago. So
no, not at all.
But yeah, I mean, it's definitely and to me that's for the most part for the better. That it's more skill focused because I mean it makes it a much more fun game to watch for sure.
For the newer fan, absolutely, or the fan that really doesn't understand it. They don't really want to. Maybe some do. I mean, you never know. I mean, you want to see the fights and you want to see the checking and you want to see
right.
But that also slows the game down. So I mean, but if you speed the game up, and watch it like a tennis match and you're going back and forth, it makes it more exciting to watch because you never know what's going to happen because they're going to throw a pass out there where you don't even see the guy on the screen yet. I mean, you be watching it on any size TV. You won't see the pass. You'll see the pass, but you have no idea where the puck's going until you see the guy shoot the puck. So I think it's good. I think where the game's gone, it's better for the game. I mean, of course, I grew up in old time hockey, so I do like the physicality part of it, but
which I don't think you could ever completely take that out. There's no way.
No,
it's hockey. There's just no way to take it out.
People keep saying they should take fighting out of the game, and I'm like, no, because I mean, in a weird way, if you watch them fight, you watch those two guys that do end up getting into a fight. 8 times out of 10, they're tapping each other on the ass, saying, "Good job." They're cleaning up what the referees weren't calling, and they're also taking it out just between them two. It doesn't have to go from player to player to player to getting beat up against the board, where somebody could get hurt when they know what they're jumping into. So I mean, it's I like the fight. I hope it doesn't come out of it. Yes, obviously it is a contact sport. Somebody could get injured. Yes, obviously. We've all seen maybe the Mason Gertzen and Arsenal fight from a few years back when he was when Gertzen was in Hartford and Arsenal was the year to come. I mean, that fight, his bell got rung. So, I mean, you can, but then again, these guys are still wearing blades on their feet. You can get cut. So, I mean,
you're carrying a weapon around in your hands.
Right. You know what I mean? You're shooting a piece of rubber that some of these guys shoot over 100 miles an hour. Right. And they'll stop. The people will stand in front of it. So if you're worried about the fighting, you might really start wanting to be looking at the actual sport and saying, maybe this is a sport that I should not be watching, because everywhere you look, there's something dangerous that's going to happen.
Yeah, and I think, that's pretty much every sport that, there is always risk involved, but I mean,
Absolutely.
But I
Absolutely.
mean, that's I don't know. Like I said, I don't think you're never going to see fighting truly taken out of the sport. I don't think you'll ever see it.
No, you can't,
I think
because
it's
you'll
just
always have someone. It doesn't matter if the guy's big or small anymore.
right.
If he's your fighter, if he's not your fighter, you're
Right.
sticking up for your teammate. I mean, it goes down all the way to, we play bar league. You take one of our guys out, Scotty, you were going to have somebody come flying in. I mean, it's just a part of it. And it's not just in hockey. You do it in any sport that's like an unfair hit.
I was just going to say that, because I mean, everybody points the finger at hockey when you're talking about fighting.
Right.
How many times have you seen fighting in basketball?
Oh,
you
all
see it.
Now,
You see it a lot, right?
Yeah.
The bench clearing brawls.
Look at
NFL.
soccer.
You see NFL, soccer, baseball, bench clearing
Baseball.
brawls.
Oh yeah, all the time.
Right?
One pitcher
More so
throws
baseball
at one
these
batter,
days.
and the next pitcher
Exactly.
throws at the other batter, and then it's going to be a bench clearing brawl. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, so every sport has its own cleanup process. I mean, it's just the matter of hockey's may be the best way to keep it under control, because those two go fight. They say good job. They go sit for 5 minutes, and it's over.
Right, because you really don't see the bench clearing brawls in hockey anymore. It's usually it's a one-on-one fight, and then that's that. But
right,
I don't know. It is what it is, I guess. But I don't know.
I think you're just never going to be able to get rid of it, and I hope they never try to.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I got to imagine at some point they'll probably try, but how successful it'll be, who knows?
I don't. I mean, you got to think these guys have, it's in their DNA. You got Ty Domi's kid that's just like Ty Domi on the ice. He's saying, watch his father. Now you're going to have these guys like in the AHL watching their kids when they grow, watching their dads play this sport. They're going to grow up like that. It's not saying that's not a terrible way to grow up, but it's what they see. It's how they play the game. It's how they're taught. And it's if they're 6'2", 6'3", 200 pounds on the ice, well, of course they're going to be the bruiser. Like, they're going to be the protector.
Honestly, I think what's changed is that the athleticism involved, right?
Absolutely.
So you can still have a guy who can be, can fight, but he's got to be able to keep up with the rest of the team now. He's got to. You can't have a plug out there anymore, because you're just going to get burned over and over and over again. And that's why, as much as you hate him, a guy like Tom Wilson is actually valuable, because he can drop the gloves, but he can also score. He can also. No, he's still on IR, but
see, there you go. See, maybe he should retire.
I just wanted give David an excuse to put that back up there. That's all.
Well, he should retire. He's on the IR.
Well, with that note, why don't we wrap it up?
Too afraid to drop the gloves against Revo, but whatever.
Yeah, well, Revo's in Minnesota now, right? So
yeah, hopefully Revo will find him one of these days.
It'll be on pay-per-view after they both retire.
Biz, who knows? I think it's going to be Biz and Revo on pay-per-view one of these days.
Oh, that'd be awesome too.
I mean, those two are calling out shots left and right, so who knows?
That would be great. That would be awesome. Well, let's wrap this hour of fun up here then. Once again, I want to thank Neil Villapiano for coming on to the show. He's always an awesome guest every time he comes on, and so much fun. So, for Dave the Save Warner, for Jeremy Roberts, I'm Scott Kimball. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week on 315 Hockey Live.